Hello, welcome back to Voices of Impact, where I highlight visionary leaders who are shaping the future of business, tech, and human connection. I'm an executive coach and founder of Beautiful Power Coaching and Consulting. So today's episode will be Bridging Technology and Business, the new language of executive leadership, with our lovely guest, Priyanka, a trailblazing executive who has bridged the worlds of enterprise networks, AI innovation, and corporate strategy. So, from her early engineering career at Microsoft to leading AI driven partnerships at Tata Communications, Priyanka has built a career that blends deep technical expertise with strategic influence. Priyanka, welcome to Voices of Impact.
Thank you so much for having me, Veena. I'm so excited to be here.
Of course, this is exciting as well for me. So, yeah, like the first question, I think just wanted to walk you through your journey. Like, you have such a dynamic background. So, can you walk us through your journey and what initially drew you to this space?
So, my love affair with technology and the tech space it started when I was a kid. My dad is an engineer, and a large part of my family are all engineers, although on the electrical engineering side. But that's when I started tinkering with software, machines, and it just organically led to a bachelor's in computer science because that was the in thing to do. But I
Right.
enjoyed myself, right? And then
Nice.
I got a job at Microsoft doing customer success for their data center and enterprise networking business unit. After this, I took a break. I went to Louisiana State University to get a master's in computer science. After which, I joined Cisco as a software engineer. Just this time, I was writing the software that I was fixing before, right? I was writing drivers, I was writing firmware to enable enterprise networks, data centers, and cloud infrastructure. So I did that for about 7 to 8 years. And then I started managing teams, doing the same thing. And I did a little bit of broadening into product management, into strategy planning, into a lot of agile related stuff. And then I went to Wharton to get my MBA, which I finished a few months ago. During Wharton, I was introduced to Tata Communications through a consulting project, right? They wanted to understand a framework of how to monetize AI, and I jumped in, understanding that this is going to be a stretch project for me. And
Right.
then when we wrapped this up and my manager said, we want somebody to take this forward, I kind of raised my hand. And that's how I dipped my feet into corporate strategy, AI innovations, and since then, I have started doing startup scouting, understanding how the outside technology blends into corporate technologies and things like that. So that's kind of what my journey has been like.
Wow, that's amazing. I love your journey, the full entire story. So you've done such amazing work. Good kudos to you. Whether that's at Wharton and then I taught to us. So yeah, just coming out of your comfort zone and seeing that the first project is just a great thing, right? So proud of you for this and such an inspiration for every one of us. So what's the bigger vision or mission that drives your work today that you would say?
The bigger mission for me is would be the fact that when I was growing up, Veena, I did not, I mean, when I was a little girl who was tinkering with the boombox at home or, trying to do any engineering related work, I did not have a lot of role models growing up. But the next decade kind of changed that. But I want to change the fact that girls grow up without role models, especially when they are in STEM related fields. That's my mission. So I love mentoring young engineers, young women engineers, guiding them through their career transitions. It gives me a lot of fulfillment, right? So my vision is to make a very broad impact. So I love taking on challenges. I love doing good work. I love driving quality. So that's kind of what drives me to do a good job at everything that's handed to me.
That's amazing. I love that because I feel like it sounded like me, right? So, we have similar things like giant career transitions, and that was my mission is to be the role model because I didn't have a role model growing up, and I think it's for every South Asian, right? And then we kind of bring all those qualities, like we learn those qualities from our family, but we also learn from those experiences that make us that role model. So I can see you're a great role model for your kids and for everyone else. So I love that vision behind it. And that's like the inner motivation that drives the impact, right? So,
Absolutely. That's what keeps me going.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, every day I wake up and I know like, hey, it's the role model, but it's bigger than that. Just kind of helping others reach their full potential in any way or form. So I totally agree with the fulfillment aspect of it. So that's amazing. Yeah. So going into innovation. So when you talk about co-innovating with your customers, what does that look like in action?
So co-innovating with customers means sitting down with them, understanding their business. Basically, I try to understand what they do, what they care about, what their mission is, more than trying to sell my product, right? And then
Right.
when I have these conversations, they are more open about what they want to achieve through this collaboration, right? They're like, hey, I've been told to reduce costs, or they're like, I've been told to do something else. So when I understand this, I know that there is a very firm mandate for them. And then I come back, I ideate on what I can do to help them. And
Yeah.
then I go to them with a laundry list of like 5 to 6 ideas to help
Yeah.
them. And then when I sit down and tell them, hey, this is what I think you can do, this is what I think I can help you do, they're like, okay, you know what? These 2 points actually appeal to me a lot because this is what the team has been thinking about as well. And that's how we bring what we call as customer co-innovation. So instead of building a product and shoving it in a customer's face, we kind of try to understand what they want before we try to shove anything down their throats.
Yeah. And I agree with that. That's how you make the most impact. I know we had another conversation yesterday that talked about that. Is really knowing your customers or users in and out, right? Like really falling in love with them, like truly from the bottom of your heart, right? Unconditional love for them and
Hmm.
understanding that rather than like, yeah, it's just selling. But that collaboration, that collaborative effort is so important now because
Right.
like has to be on the forefront because we get so caught up in those like small details. But it's really about them. It's not about us. So I love how you talked about co-innovation and then that's what drives
Hmm.
the bigger impact moving forward. So that's amazing that you talked about that. So how would you define executive leadership now that you talked about collaboration? But what does that mean now that there's the age of AI? The AI is coming into play.
Honestly, Veena, the definition of executive leadership in my mind hasn't changed with the advent of AI, right? It's still the presence, the accountability, the setting the vision, the motivation that the executive brings to their teams, right?
Mhm.
What has changed is how you go about doing it. In the age of AI, right now, there's so much happening in AI, right? It is probably the executive's job, like, to understand what's relevant and what is not. Just expecting my team to be abreast of all AI technology is useless. They're just going to be overwhelmed. They're not going to understand what to do with which tool. And ultimately, it's just going to be like a mashup of different things that we don't really have any value out of.
Mhm.
Instead, I think the executives these days need to have that laser focus on this is what is going to bring me value. This is
Right.
what is bringing me rewards, right? So that clarity is very important. And the second thing executive leadership needs to keep in mind today is AI is a tool, not a magic wand, right? So
Yeah.
a lot of people expect a lot of things out of AI just because they have spent a few $1 million on it. But the expectation setting, the expectation management is also very important in today's world of AI to understand that AI cannot solve all problems. It's there for a very specific set of problems. So these are the two things that I would tell leaders to do with AI. But the overarching responsibility, accountability, I don't think that changes.
Yes, I agree. And I absolutely agree that has to be in the forefront, especially accountability, right? And not like, putting it on others and projecting it in, but really understanding different perspectives and who is responsible for what. I think that's what a true leader is, right? Holding each other
Hmm.
accountable. And then collaboration and just kind of sometimes being like, admitting that mistakes, like, being that, having that vulnerability and I think the human connection is the key now because I think everyone's so caught up in like how like well the AI tools and they're very overwhelmed. But I think that's at the back, right? It's really about how can I really present myself first and then have the AI just come in to help the tool. So I
And
totally
the other thing, Veena, I think that's very important for an exec in this day and age of AI is to understand that the younger engineers or the younger part of the workforce is probably more in tune with technology than executives are. And we need to accept it. And we
yeah,
need to help allow them to help us realize value out of it.
yeah,
I think
exactly.
that's a very important trait. I think
Right.
executives who try to know it all themselves
Right.
may just overwhelm themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. And I do agree because I think it's we have to kind of take the lead and help them out because I've seen a lot of engineers. I know we talked about this before, how like when you're turning from manager into that director or a VP, it's that strategic thinking. There's a gap, and we need to take that lead rather than like because I know some people have come to me saying like, "Hey, like I talked to an executive, and it's like they're kind of expecting a little, but rather than just kind of stepping back and like." Helping them understand kind of stuff into that, right? So totally agree. And absolutely very important points here. So what are do you think are some of the biggest challenges that leaders are facing now and when scaling though in AI driven transformation?
There are a lot, honestly, but I'm going to narrow it down to maybe two or three. The first thing that is not allowing people to scale AI correctly would be data, right? A lot of people are working with legacy systems. They don't have processes in place to collect the right data, or even if they do, it's very expensive. So they're not spending the right amount of dollars. So lack of high quality data,
Yeah.
right? That's a universally known thing. The second thing that I have seen that trumps anything that is invested is lack of clear vision, right? For example, there was this friend that I was talking to who told me that his leadership told him, we need all of you to inculcate AI in your work. So he assumed that to be they want me to build AI features into the product, spend 2 or 3 weeks ideating on it with his team, goes back and presents this to his leadership, and they say, but we were looking for you to use coding tools or coding assistants. And a lack of this vision is what throws everybody off, right? An extension of this is the fact that because businesses don't have a vision, they don't know what to measure, right?
Right.
For
Yeah.
example, if you go back to the coding assistant, I had another conversation with another engineering leader who's using a coding assistant without naming names, right? So I
Mhm.
asked him, you're using coding assistant, you're saving 3 hours per day. So what is the actual outcome of that? Are you releasing more features? What is the point of doing these things faster, right?
Right.
So unless businesses can attach a tangible outcome, is it increasing revenue? What is it doing for you really, apart from saving developer time? So unless you can attach it to an actual thing, you're not going to be able to scale it very effectively because it doesn't tie back into a business outcome. And
Yeah.
let's be
Exactly.
clear, we're all running businesses here.
Right. Right.
So
Yeah. Yeah. I totally agree. And I think tie it to the business outcomes is the key. I love how you said that because I mean, it's one thing to have the operational excellence, but to scale and understand, like, okay, where is this going? What's the vision for the next 2 years, 5 years, 10 years down the road? And why? Asking yourself, why are we doing this? What does it mean? Like having that, the strong roadmap and, having those, it's not just about the vision, but the bigger picture is super important and
mhm.
the number one thing for an executive. Right. So I love how you talked about that. So great advice there. Yes, that is the biggest challenge I've been noticing is like tying the two, right? Connecting the two. Now that AI and everything's like emerging now. So I love how you brought that to the forefront. So how can leaders better position themselves for executive visibility? Because I know that is an important topic. Whether you're like a director or VP and influence in this new AI driven
So to position, I want to say something really simplistic. Stick your neck out on a really high visibility project and you'll get the visibility, right? But it's more nuanced than that. You need to take a step back and go back to how are you going to understand what is important? So having that regular cadence with executive is very important. Now, whether you interact with them in an elevator or just make yourself visible during your all hands, or whether you build a relationship with that chief of staff or that executive admin and ask for a 15-minute time slot on their calendar to just discuss what you're doing. All of them is fair game, but make sure you do it, right?
Right.
Talk to them. What are their top 3 priorities for the quarter? And how can my work help you achieve that? So at least this way you're building that synergistic communication channel with this executive. And trust me, when you talk this language, the executive will remember you because at the end of the day, you are feeding into their roadmap, feeding into their P&L, right?
Right.
The second thing that I have seen that you need to do to get visibility, tangential, of course, is post your work on LinkedIn, blog about it, make it visible, right? This may attract visibility from the outside, from executives who are not necessarily in your company, but it is still visibility. It will help you get your work noticed. Two things can happen, right? Either somebody resonates with it so much and they want you to come work for them, right? And you are getting the promotion that you want, or maybe a lateral move into a growth opportunity, or you're being told that the way you're thinking is not right and you course correct and still you get visibility for it.
Right.
So put yourself out there, understand what the people are looking for. And that is the best way to actually get visibility. I'm not saying spend money by promoting your content, but definitely get it out there and make the work original. Don't write it with AI.
Yeah.
Let your personality shine, right? Because people can spot AI from a mile away. So when you put out genuine content, when you put out content that is resonating with you, your viewers will resonate with it. And there are numerous tools online to give you the appropriate hashtags to get visibility,
Right. Okay.
right? So do all of that and get your work noticed. Your executives will look at you.
Yeah, such great tips. I mean, I love how you said about being noticed and the memory, like just be memorable. And in the age of AI, I think authenticity and just sharing your stories and storytelling is just missing. And I wanted to kind of have like talk about that on this podcast and how important that is. So this
Mm-hmm.
is podcast, this work voices of impact to kind of give you about thought leadership and that visibility for executives to share the story and for other audience as well. But yeah, coming from just a place of, because I know sometimes we're so caught up in the AI, but using your creativity, using your innovation, just kind of sitting down and be like, how do I feel today? What was my everyday life? Right. And just talking about it on LinkedIn, how many opportunities have come to me because of that. And rather than having people like chase after something, just sharing your presence. And I think for a
Mm-hmm.
woman, that's so powerful is, knowing your worth, owning it and sharing your presence. That itself attracts the, opportunities, the high impactful opportunities, the right ones, the aligned ones, especially like that's what C-suite are looking for. And I know some people have come to me saying, hey, Nina, I haven't really been recognized or seen by C-suite. And these are some really good things to be proactively doing. Even if you feel like, yeah, I'm happy or comfortable, but these are things to like keep doing because you never know an opportunity could knock on your door, right? So I love how you talked about these things for sure. And what's that one mindset shift you believe that every future executive needs to make right now at this moment while walking home?
I think they need to make a shift of leaning in on quality and leaning in on evolution.
Right.
Revolution doesn't work,
Mhm.
right? So I think a lot of people are so ambitious and so married to their plans of how they're going to get things done when they have the authority and the
Mhm.
control that they forget that things have to run their course. They need to do it in an evolution format. They cannot just come and disrupt every single thing a team is used to doing. It usually comes with so much resistance that people are going to rebel and you're going to lose a lot of them.
Yeah.
So I think leaders should understand to make small changes. I'm not saying test the waters. Make the changes that you think are required, but don't dump an entire system on a team when they've just come out of something else. They're just used to something else. And I think the thing with quality is more technical than a mindset shift, but it's still a mindset shift. A
Right.
lot of people that I speak to today, because I do startup advisory on the side,
Mhm.
everybody is like, I just need to build. I just need to build something and get
Exactly.
it out.
Right.
No, you need to build something good and get it
Good.
out.
Yes. Yes.
Because in
Exactly.
today's age of people not sticking, people don't know loyalty. So the only way you can create loyalty is by releasing a good product. So not trying to be technical, but I think people should definitely start leaning into the mindset of driving quality.
Yeah. That's absolutely for sure important. Yeah, quality over quantity, right? Because I know a lot of people, even if it's creating a product or job searching, anything, it's about let me just get it done. Let me just get it done, right? It's more that scarcity mindset. So tying into abundance mindset, right? So how
Right.
can I be more intentional about
Mm-hmm.
my time, my efforts, right? Because time, I mean, is precious. You know, we can't, there's no perfect time, but being intentional about what I'm building and why I'm building it for. How can I stand out? Because there's so many products out there. So having that mindset shift of, yeah, quality over quantity, and then not doing it from a scarcity aspect, really taking your time and understanding yourself and understanding the other users, right? And breaking that gap. So I love how you talked about that. Just slowing down to speed up. That's helped me a lot. Startups as well. Sometimes you just need to like understand what we're doing. You have that self awareness, right? That's also a part of the executive leadership is self awareness. So I love how you kind of brought that to the conversation today. So yeah, before we wrap up, I'd love to hear what's next for you, Priyanka. So what kind of impact or vision are you most excited about creating in the next chapter of your journey?
I am really excited to continue my work in the world of AI and innovation. And I've done a lot of work over the years, right? With hardware, with enterprise networks, with OEMs like Cisco and things like that. So I want to continue to make an impact through the skills that I have as an engineer and through the skills that I've built as a business person as well. So I
Mhm.
am currently working on making exactly that impact, and I hope I can continue to do that. And honestly, I do, like I said, mentoring younger engineers, especially women who have not grown up with very strong role models. I want to be there for them to guide them through their career transitions and help them have a career that they feel fulfilled with.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think that's the biggest thing, fulfillment and probably your purpose, right? The impact you want to make is that you can use all of that experience and turn that into a powerful thing and then helping the next generation. So maybe you can leave a legacy based on that. So that's amazing that you're starting that, which is great. So yeah, this was great. Let's switch gears for just a quick rapid fire round, short answers
Okay.
first that comes from life. So, yeah, so one word that captures the kind of impact you want to leave on the world. I know you did talk about that, but in one word, what would you say?
Impact on the world would be that of quality, would be
Okay.
that of honesty, and would be
Honest.
that of really excellent, work created out of excellence.
Nice. I love that.
No fluff.
Yes. No fluff. Yes. Complete, real, raw authenticity. Amazing.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is what the podcast is all about. It's what I'm all about. So, we have that much, so much in common, which is great. Okay. A book, podcast, or mentor that has shaped your thinking.
A couple of books have shaped my thinking. And I would recommend that most people read these books, right? The first one is called Springboard, written by Richard Shell. It basically takes you through a journey of defining success and personal motivations for yourself. It's a
Great.
very self-discovery kind of book, and it's nothing to do with profession. You could choose to choose to go after community service if you wanted to,
Mhm.
right? That is the one book that I would recommend. The second one is actually Mindset by Carol Dweck, where
Oh,
she shares like numerous stories about how if you want to grow in something, you need to stop believing that intelligence or ability is static.
yeah.
You
Yeah.
put a 10,000 reps on anything, you are going to gain a certain level of proficiency.
Right.
So those are two books that have impacted my thinking, the way I function a lot. And to be honest, the book on success, the personal success, the thing called Springboard, I think people should read it multiple times in their lives because it's going to mean different things at different points in life.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
that is definitely a must read.
Yeah, no, I love how you talked about that. No, for sure. And I do agree with the evolution that ties into what you're saying because I've done my own self discovery journey and at different times it's just been magical. It's been very, it has changed my life, honestly. So just having these books, and I wrote a book that's similar to that, just having that like personal growth aspect at different points. And it's like like a never changing thing. So I'm glad that you talked about these books for those readers or listeners who are, they really help them out. So, and one tool outside of work or product where you can't live without.
Tool with which I cannot live without, my phone.
Absolutely.
I mean, from scrolling and doom scrolling and everything else, I do a lot of stuff on my phone, to be honest.
Yeah.
When I am out on a walk, I love to record my thoughts using my phone,
Yeah.
right? I literally prepared a lot of for a lot of interviews, honestly, for this podcast using my phone. So it may sound like something of a distraction, but honestly, it's my companion.
Yeah. Yeah. And I can
Helps me
relate.
get a lot of work done.
Yeah, I can relate because I don't use my phone or Instagram for doom scrolling, just listening to like motivational stuff. And I heard like if you
Hmm.
just like send yourself a voice and you listen to it, it's like the self affirmation or like, just it helps with that self love, right? And you can use like your phone and a lot of things wisely. So to our listeners as well, so it doesn't have to be for anything like just a lot of healthy things that you can do to boost your confidence. So that's how you shared that. But how can listeners connect with you or follow your work?
LinkedIn would be the best way. It's probably the place where I will just be very responsive. If you want to, if you want to just chat, if you want to follow my work, anything, I'm also on TopMate for people who use the platform. If you want to set up like a 15 or a 30-minute session for a chat, happy to hop on a call and talk.
Of course. I think anyone would love to talk to you. So many insights and inspiration. So thank you so much for bringing so much wisdom and warmth to this conversation. I loved hearing how you're connecting leadership and purpose in such an authentic way. So to our listeners, if today's episode inspired you, follow Voices of Impact for more stories from leaders who are driving change through collaboration and clarity. So until next time, remember that your voice creates your impact, right? So use it with intention and heart.
Thank
Bye.
you, Veena.
Thank
It
you.
was great being over here. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.